Hello and welcome all. We are today happy to begin our webinar with our speaker, Dr. Hilal Al-Libawy. And Dr. Hilal is an assistant professor, received PSc degree in electrical engineering from Baghdad University and master degree in electronic engineering too, and he is staff from of Babylon University. He completed his PhD and get certificate from UK University of Liverpool in 2018. His main research area interested on behavioral analysis, operator fatigue detection, deep learning, implementation in embedded system, and engineering application of artificial intelligence. Before starting our webinar, we welcoming our chairman of IEEE PS Chair Young Professional, Mr. Alvin Powell. Yes, Mr. Alvin.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Uh, for now, anyone will take this webinar for more than half hours. After that, we get question and answer. So let's now begin with our webinar, harnessing artificial intelligence of sustainable energy management, defining against climate change. Welcome, Dr. Hilal. So you can begin your lecture.
Thank you, Say, for your nice presentation for me, and thank you for this section, Bess, for giving me the chance to give this my lecture about very important issue, which is a hot topic these days. Actually, there is two hot topics in this lecture. This is one, climate change, which is very important and affect our daily life, and we can feel it here and everywhere around the world, and about the artificial intelligence and how we can use these tools, the artificial intelligence, to help to mitigate the effect of climate change.
Sir, you are muted.
Sorry. Okay, hope you are hearing me now. Sorry for this inconvenient mistake.
Yeah, yes, sir. Can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. So again, I was saying that the climate change is very important topics that we are dealing with daily around the world, and see its effect and impact on air pollution, on warming, on many factors that we can see every day. And in this lecture, we are overview some of the solution that artificial intelligence may offer to help to mitigate the effect of this serious issue. The lecture will go through these outlines, starting with introduction and ending with the hardware that used for AI algorithms that may use to defend the effect of climate changes. So, an introduction, we can that this is one of the greatest challenge of our time, the climate change, and we can see that many effect and consequences we can see around the world, like fire of forest, like some storms, like floods around the world, like melting of the north and south poles. All of these all of these phenomena now happening because of climate change. The climate change can be a serious issue if we cannot solve it right now and start it from now and forward. So one of the solutions that may can manage and reduce the effect of the causes that cause the climate change is the artificial intelligence. And some of the smart algorithms and the network and internet of things, many of these tools can help to reduce the effect of climate change. What is climate change? If you can see these two graphs, maybe it is not very clear about the units, but the upper one, it's about the temperature. It's the temperature around the world, starting from the uh, end of the 18th century to the right now. And we can see that the changes or the temperature is rising gradually every year because of what they call it the warming or global warming effect. This is from the NASA database. We can see this is anomaly temperature around the world, the highest temperature usually recorded every day, and we can see there is around more than 1.5 degree changes from the 1980 to the 2020. So the temperature pattern, we can see it is rising, which is a serious issue. We have to handle it. Also, the lower graph is talking about the sea level, which comes from the melting of the ice around the world. We can see that this is in millimeter. It's around more than 300 millimeter, about 30 centimeter. It's rise around this period of time, like around more than 100 years. It's rise more than 30 centimeter, which is also very critical issue. Many of the cities around the world, which is close to the beaches and coast, may suffer from a very serious issue because of the level of sea. So the temperature pattern is one of the points that we can scale the effect of the climate change and overall weather condition. It is also like wind, like storms, like different pattern of rains. All of these effects can see around the world. So the primary is the release of greenhouse gases. This is the most important factor or fraction of the global warming. These changes have severe consequences. It is called like increasing of emission of gases like CO2 and other gases. All of these will affect the ecosystem of the world. So it is very urgent to take an action to reduce this greenhouse gas emission and mitigate the impact of climate change. So how we can solve it? Because we are talking in, like, I am an electrical engineer, and I know there's most of the audience is from this section. So one of the parts that we can reduce this effect is using sustainable energy and how to can manage it. So this is from AMBA. If you can see, this is the evolution of the sustainable or renewable energy from 2000 to the time beings or to the 2020. So we can see that the solar and the wind are take a larger part and take a good percent of the whole percent of the global electricity generation. Still, the fossil fuel still have the major part, but with time, many of the renewable energy can take part this part of the fossil fuel. So now we are, our goal is to make this renewable energy take the major part, like 2050. This is the plan of most of the important plans that lead to reduce the effect of emission gases or greenhouse gases by replace these fossil fuels by renewable energy. So the solution is how to make this part the major part, like solar, wind, hydropower. So if we can increase this by use clever or smart plans, so we can reduce the dependencies on fossil fuels or promote cleaner or more resilient energy system. So the solution or the key achievement, it when replace the mouse part with sources like solar, wind, hydropower, and we can reduce the dependence of fossil fuels. So what is the role of artificial intelligence in that? As we say, as we said before, the key is to replace the renewable energy. How can manage that? One of the promising tool is the artificial intelligence. One of the recent ideas or recent principles is the smart grids. The smart grids usually can connect many of their sources of the renewable energy and fossil exist energy resources together and manage them smartly, that we can rely on the renewable energy when we can and reduce the reliance on the fossil fuel. So it can provide preventive and predictive maintenance. This is another issue, which are crucial parameter of grid's functionality. So if we can predict the fault before it happens, this can make the most part of the renewable energy can participate in the grid. Also can have a managing program that can use the energy efficiently, how we can use each part of load demand in the time that can the renewable energy participate, like the solar, which is usually participate in the day. So if we can handle to match the power resources with the load demand at that time smartly, so we can still depend on the renewable energy rather than fossil fuel. Also, there is a new concept called digital twins. This is like building a simulator to what to the existing plant. So this digital twins using NI can be step forward in better surfacing, experimenting, and maintaining. So if we can simulate the load model and the generation model, and we can monitoring every time, so we can predict more and efficient power plant to make the goal achievable to our. So let's stick with the smart grid, which is the main part of the defense against climate change. The smart grid usually can handle energy optimization. Energy optimization, that the massive amount of data that come from smart grid sensors, weather forecast and energy demand, we can integrate all these together to optimize energy generation, distribution, and consumption. So if we have a good bunch of data and we can handle it and analysis it smartly, so we can make it depend mainly on the renewable energy, which in turn can reduce the fossil fuel, which also will reduce the gases emission. So the efficient way to manage the energy and the energy optimization will give us a good tool to reduce the emission. fault detection and the predictive, which is also one of the tools and of the goals of the smart grid. When we can detect faults and anomalies on a grid by analyzing sensor data and historical pattern, this will make us make the maintenance more fast and easily, which in turn is still the goal to have the main part of the smart grids depend on the cleaner resources. So these resources, if we can make the faults easily maintained and don't get out of the grid for a long time, will help us to make the more dependence on the renewable energy. Especially, this is renewable energy at not very stable and not consistent like fossil fuel generation plant. Like the solar cell usually, or the solar plant usually have its peak in the midday and have a small portion of power generation in the beginning and the end of the day. Also, the wind generation or wind energy usually not very stable. It depends on the weather. So if we can make the fault detection and predictive maintenance more efficient, make the system more stable and more reliance on this part of renewable energy. This factor will make if its effect on grid stability and resilience, because if the as we said, if we can reliable, if the system is reliable and can be depend on the part of the renewable energy, which is in its own, it is not very stable. But if we can make this smart management for these resources and handle it carefully and smartly, this can make it more stable, and the smart grid, by predicting and preventing potential failure or disturbances. This will help the grid stability, which also in turn it will reflect on the using of renewable energy. When we started with smart grids, which is a part of the global internet system, many of the cybersecurity issues arises at this time. So we have to use the artificial intelligence to make the system and make the grid more secure against the attack of cyber attacker or others, which happens many times around the world. So we have to use the artificial intelligence algorithm to prevent such attacks, which in turn will make the system more reliable and more trustable by using the main part as renewable energy rather than fossil fuel. Also, renewable energy integration. This is a very important part. We have many parts of renewable energy like solar, wind, batteries, thermal, geothermal, hydro. So we can integrate all of these resources together to get very efficient way to make the most part of power depend on this renewable energy. And each of them have its parameters and its factors. So we can manage them smartly, so we can give a steady and reliable and stable part of renewable energy source for the power to provide the grid. Also, if we have a smart system with sensors and embedded devices, so it will give us data analysis on a place or on the server. Both of them, we can integrate this large scale of data. This will be valuable inside utilities, operators, and policymaker. If we have an overview and good overview about the data that collected through the sensor, that usually using AI to manage and processing the data and give the overview picture to handle the situation. Energy storage, another part, which is the global energy storage is usually grow 20 times by 32, will grow 20 times, which is now an efficient and a good role of this energy storage to make its decision for the grid. So smart energy storage system are energy storage technologies that can be integrated with the smart grid. So if we can handle this big and smart storage, we can also give another factor to make the smart grid more stable and more reliance. So how we can make this work? How we can this smart or artificial intelligence algorithm works in this system? Some of the devices can use in the smart grid. Some of them are used in local, not in the server in the center. This is used close to the end of the generation part, like smart solar panel. Smart solar panel have an embedded or integrated devices that can monitor real-time energy generation and send the data. So it gives the at the end close to the solar panel itself, not to the generation or the grid itself. So it can give us the weather, it can give the temperature, the generation, the efficiency. All these data can be collected from the solar panel using such a small modular like Arduino, like Raspberry Pi, and some of the platform like Edge Impulse can manage and handle this smart algorithm on these tiny devices to give a good decision at the end, like close to the solar panel. Also, intelligent wind turbines. It is the same as solar panel. In the wind turbine, also there is a smart embedded devices within wind turbine can collect data about wind speed, direction, turbine performance, power generation. All of these data can be handled and analyzed efficiently and smartly and give the decision about the rotor speed, blade pitch, and another parameter that optimize energy generation based on real-time weight condition, which is make the system more reliable and more trustable. If we can manage these smart devices to give a decision to the wind turbine itself without need to come back to the servers to analyze the data. This makes the grid more stable and give optimum generation performance. Also, intelligent power inverters. With after the solar and the wind, both of them will go to the inverters. So the inverters itself is also intelligent. So there is a smart part of the inverters to give, which is built inside the inverters of renewable energy system, which can monitor or control energy flow, optimize the power conversion, and the grid integration. All these parameters will be managed efficiently to give them the efficient power, which is the goal of this work. They can adjust voltage, frequency, or active power based on grid condition and demand. So it can balance between the generation and the demands and make the main part. This is the goal. At the end, this is the goal. The main part of the power that gives to the load will be the renewable energy rather than the fossil. If we success to manage that, will be the goal of the using artificial intelligence in this sector. So again, the mitigation portion using artificial intelligence in combating climate change is a combination. This measurement on macro and micro levels. On micro levels, this is when the solar panel and wind turbine, and macro level, which is in the server, on the grid, on the center of the generation, which in turn, this will be the goal: reduction of greenhouse gases emission intensity, improvement, energy efficiency, and reduction of greenhouse effect. These three factors, if we can make it more effective, this will be the success of this system. which is usually happening right now, and have a good share of renewable energy in the whole generation of electricity, about 30 to 40. It depends on the weather and other conditions, but it's sometimes in some countries which reach 30% of the total generation, electricity generation of that person. So one of the AI is this is of the generation. If we are talking on the load side, which is comes to the customers, the consumption reduction in total, which is if we can reduce the consumption, which is even it is renewable or fossil, if we can reduce this generation, this in turn will make the using of fossil fuel less. If you reduce the consumption, the fossil fuel will be less using. How we can do this? We can use a smart algorithm that analyze energy usage pattern. What does that mean? That means if we can, like in Iraq, we are using the peak hour in the midday, when the day in summer in midday. So if we can handle it to manage to reduce the peak load and shift it to another time of day, which is the renewable energy, it's the peak. This will help. Like when using washing machine, dishing washing machine, we can use it at time that it is not at the peak. This is the pattern of the demand. Enabling smart thermostat in heating and cooling. If there is much smarter than this normal thermostat, depends on the how many participants or people in the room. If it's empty, can reduce the using of power, lighting, or other. There is some system, smart system like building management system. These systems can manage the power efficiently, that can reduce the total power using by the building. So this is mainly depend on artificial intelligence. Optimized heating, cooling, lighting in real time. All these management schemes using artificial intelligence, the main goal of this is to reduce the power consumption, which in turn this will be reduce the gas emission or greenhouse gas emission by reducing the fossil fuel using. So through automation, AI or artificial intelligence help identify inefficient and suggest energy saving measures, empowering consumer and business to reduce energy consumption. And this is the goal: lower carbon footprints. This is the main goal of this. So, what are main software used in this sector? There is artificial intelligence algorithm, a cloud platform, and the hardware that we install this algorithm on them. So, example of artificial intelligence algorithm, usually they are machine learning and deep learning. So, some of the predictive energy generation using neural networks, artificial neural network, and support vector machine. Some of energy load forecasting using long short-term memory, LSTM, and random forest, it's another algorithm which can analyze historical energy. This depends on time series. LSTM and random forest using time series to analyze, which is more efficient. And in solar power prediction, use the convolutional neural network, CNN, which can predict power generation based on satellite image, weather data, and historical solar radiation. So we can use this algorithm using this hardware. Many of hardware are using to implement these algorithm. It is the CPU, central processing unit, which is the main part or the main brain part of computers they are using, like Intel use the core i7 or core i9. Another more efficient is GPU, which is used mainly in deep learning algorithm, which is more efficient but need more power. This is called GPU, like NVIDIA production. RTX 6030 and others. There's something which is more efficient but hard to manage is FPGA because it's using parallel processing, but it's still can competitive with the GPU. There is some hardware that are custom, which is called application specific integrated circuit, ASIC, or system on chip, that if we have a special algorithm, some of the companies, hardware companies, can make a special hardware for this purpose of algorithm, which will be more efficient, but it's still specific for this application and not in general. For if we change the application, it will be useless. And nowadays there is something like Arduino, which is very cheap and very easy to use and very power efficient. But there is some algorithm called TinyML, which are used, and these which can make it use on the end edge, like on solar panel, on the wind turbine, on the some of the forests we can use because they can use for years without energy using small batteries and can give data and analyze and give decision, but it's still not in power like the other hardware devices. So as a conclusion for this lecture, AI technologies offers significant potential in climate change mitigation effort, which is already in the role right now, particularly in the optimization renewable energy system, efficient energy management, and the greenhouse gas emission reduction. This is the goal of this algorithm. By leveraging AI algorithm, renewable energy forecasting and optimal energy management can be achieved, leading increased utilization. This is the goal: increase utilization of renewable energy sources and decrease reliance on fossil fuels. This is the goal usually by using AI algorithm. AI facilities seamless integration. This is an important issue. Renewable energy into existing grid. We have already having grids in many countries use fossil. So AI, it facilitate seamless integration with supporting transition to cleaner and more sustainable energy infrastructure, which, as we said before, this is the major part of the energy should be in 2050 from renewable energy. It's also aids in fall detection, help in fall detection, maintenance, and enhance decision-making process. This is the main goal of the using AI in renewable energy sector. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm waiting any question.
Thank you, Dr. Hilal, for your valuable lecture. And we are now waiting any question. Please let's see the comments. Well, I have seen someone ask about uh, what is the impact of AI and 5G communication on climate change and on this technology for energy management.
Thank you very much for this question. It's really important and recent question. The 5G and the revolutionary development of communication make the real-time decision visible in these times. So the 5G make the decision and integration between these grids and the smart grids very fast and make the decision in real time rather than the traffic jam and the data sending usually in last generations. So the 5G helps to make the decision making very fast and make the global grid more stable because it is very fast handling the data and make the decision.
Let's see the Facebook comments. Uh, yes, they ask about the revolutionality of ChatGPT and what is related to AI and about the energy management, and how is that work now, because everyone now dealing with this topic.
Well, this is a very tough question
Yes.
because uh, at the end, this is my opinion. At the end, it is a tool. It's like Google.
Yes.
We are using Google in our search. We cannot make any lecture, any event without using the Google. So we are depending on Google. In ChatGPT, it is more advanced tool, but we have to use it cleverly. Uh, you have to ask the right question, and you can tuning the question to get the right answer. So it's still a tool, but a clever tool. So it's okay. We can handle it. We can use it. We can get the response from the chat GPT to get more efficient algorithm. But still, the guide is the developer and researchers who got the clever algorithm, and the chat GPT still like an assistance to do this job.
So in the future will be like integrated on all of these AI application. It's like
Yes,
a
of
front.
course.
Yes.
Yes, of course. The AI, one of the important overview picture of the AI is to use all of these to get the goal that you want. So if you are was good in using ChatGPT, in many algorithm of AI, in hardware, this will be good solution for whatever you want from artificial intelligence to involve in.
So, doctor, do you think that AI will now get all the advantage and benefit from another technologies like Internet of Things and something like this?
Exactly, Steph. You are very keen to get this question. The AI, it is something like something thinking. So if we can use it carefully and cleverly, so we can use all the technologies, hardware, software, or the communication things that we can collect all the data together in one class that we can produce what we want. So this exactly the thing with happening with time. It will give us the something that can manage all these together. This is ChatGPT what are doing right now. It's collect
Yes,
the
yes.
the
Take the
data,
experience from all.
the massive data from all, and put it to you in a simple way. This is what our ChatGPT doing right now. That's right.
Yes, we have another question on our screen. How can connecting the Arduino with deep learning, and what's your opinion for this religion in future? Thank you, Mr. Hab.
Thank you very much. Actually, this is good question. I'm working on this nowadays. uh, Arduino and some microcontroller have limited resources, cannot
Yes,
handle the amount of
the
huge
massive amount.
computational.
Yes,
Yes, exactly. About computational power of this AI algorithms. So there is something come to the desk right now. It's called tiny ML, tiny machine learning, that
yes,
makes some algorithm can be implemented on these resources limited, like Arduino, like Raspberry Pi, like Pico Raspberry Pi, like some of these hardware, which is cheap and power efficient, but still have limited resources. So they make a platform and algorithms can handle machine learning and smart algorithm on these devices. They call it tiny machine learning. And some platform like Edge Impulse, Newton AI, this platform using help. You give your AI algorithm, which is the complicated one. They make it less effect, but working on these devices. So now it is working. The machine learning algorithm and artificial algorithm on Arduino and such devices which had limited resources, like from RAM and speed of microprocessor and cache, everything. It is limited in these devices.
I have another question. You mentioned
Sure.
that we are using PMS, bonding management system, and as I know, we are now using PLC. So, how can integrated AI for PLCs to working PMS, or we are just making a new device for using AI?
Thank you, Seth, for this question. Really, I love this question. I'm working in this area right now. The PMS usually developed by some companies, some
Yes.
giant companies.
Yes.
So they have their protocols. Nowadays,
Oh,
they are generating some global protocol that can handle together. So they have their software, they have their sensors. They are using like Modbus, like this with PLC,
yes. Yes. Yes.
like wave. These protocols, so and their sensors and their actuators, so though they are integrating these softwares of building management system with the PLC. The PLC are mainly in industry, the building management system usually in traditional homes and building.
And front
So
side. And
now
front
they
side.
are, yeah, exactly. Now they are integrated them. So some of the companies have some protocols that deals with PLC and even deals with the Arduino. Arduino itself produce a PLC called Opta,
Yes.
which
Yes.
have Internet
Nowadays.
of Things and PLC. So now they are integrating, and I think within a decade, something will be stable for all of these controlling and monitoring schemes and softwares.
So until now, the big issue of AI to get integrated with everything is about the rules and decision and the policy.
Yes, that's right. At the end, the companies when want their production can be sales everywhere. So they at the end they have to deal together to produce like the PLC language, the ladder. The ladder it's a general language for programming the PLC for all the companies. They agreed at the end for one language that can deal all the other products from different companies, like computers. When it comes to, they call it IBM compatible. It can
Yes.
it will be cheap and can be integrated with other products. So at the end, they will reach this point. I'm sure from that.
So in the near future, I think we have a new standard named AI for everything
Yes,
related to
they
AI.
are. AI will lead everything. Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. Okay, let's see if anyone have a question. Please write it. Okay, I think we are now reached the end for this webinar. I am thankful for you, Dr. Hilal, for this valuable lecture,
Thank you
and
for
hope you
giving me
we
the
have
chance.
another chance for another lecture. Uh, Thank you, everyone that watch us and reach us. We have another series next week, inshallah. Goodbye. Goodbye.